Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Glad you're here. Hope you enjoyed today's video. This one I think is going to be a little fun for you. You might ask yourself, what's it like being out on a job like this where you're just cranking out one log after another? So guess what? Today you're going to see just that. So stick around and then I will talk a little bit about what's going on and what it's like making lumber like this. Let's get to it. One thing about jobs like this where you're not just milling one log, where the mission is to get through 20 or 30 logs and to make as much 1x, 2x beams, whatever it is the customer wants, in the shortest period of time that you can make them and with the best quality. And it's really kind of one of those things, you know, it's almost, you might think of this as a bit of a conflict, right? You got to produce a lot in a short period of time to get what the customer needs at the best price for the customer. And because I bill by the hour, getting it done sooner means less cost for the customer. Now, in this case, of course, we've got one of the best off-bearing crews I've ever worked with. So we can really crank out the lumber at a high rate of production, and it's going to really give the best price per board foot for the customer that they can get. But I don't charge by the board foot, I charge by the hour. And of course, then it even makes more sense, right? The customer keeps me with the band in the wood, making sawdust. They're going to get a better price per board foot that way. But on top of that, the conflict, I guess you could say, is that while you're concentrating on cranking out with a 2x or 1x or whatever you're making, you've also got to pay attention to the quality of lumber that you're producing at the same time. So you might think that's a bit of a conflict. It's really not. Quality first, production rate second. That's kind of my motto. Yes, I'm always competitive with myself, and I really want to try to produce as much as I can. If I can get 300 board feet an hour milling 1x, hey, I'm a happy camper. And that's tough to do with the 26 horsepower LT40 mill. Now you can do it, let's be honest, right? You gotta watch the speed of your cut. You don't want to have any waves. You gotta keep your band nice and sharp. You gotta keep the band tension up. All those things you gotta pay attention to. I'm gonna mill 3 logs in succession so you get to see how that goes while I'm milling that up. Now the first thing is, of course, those guys were pulling everything off the mill as soon as they could, and I'm using simple set so I don't have to think too much about where my next cut is. I'm going to plan my cants out so that once I start milling the cant down from the height, and when I talk about the height versus the width, width is the width of the cant that is going to produce the width of lumber that you want, or 2 or 3 times it. And by that I mean if the cant can be big enough to make, say, 2 2x6s or 2 1x6s or whatever, then you're going to set the width to 1/8 of an inch over 2 times whatever the width is you're making, and split the cant, and then you're going to flip it up, and now you're at your height. The height is where you set the cant so that once you start that first full cut that you're going to make, you can go right to the deck without making any adjustments. So ideally, when you, let's say you're milling, 7/8 inch thick 1x, which gives room for drying shrinkage, then that means that your last cut has to be 7/8 of an inch off the deck. So if you start your height at 12 inches, your last cut is going to be at 1 inch, not 7/8. So let's say you can build a 12-inch cant, then what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you build it, you actually set it at 11 7/8. That way, each time the simple set drops an inch, it's going to be 1/8 of an inch under that even inch number, right? So it's going to go 11 7/8, 10 7/8, 9 7/8, all the way down to 7/8 of an inch off the deck. So that's one of the things that I do. I want to get that cant height set where I need it, get on the simple set, and then bang, 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 down we go, get it off the deck, roll the next log up, and rock and roll. So here we go, we're getting the flitches milled up, and again, in future videos, you're going to see me do something a little different, and I've talked about it before. My normal operating procedure for milling flitches is to mill the cant down to below the width of whatever lumber I'm making. So if I'm making 1x6s, then I want to mill the cant down to something under 6 inches, 5 inches, or 4 7/8 or whatever. Then I'll stack those flitches up against the cant, mill them into the 1x that I need to make, or 2x, 1x6, 2x6, whatever it is, get them off the deck, get back on the simple set, because I know that I stopped at 4 7/8. All I got to do is drop the head to 4 7/8, hit the simple set, and head forward. And I just remember where I need to be and mill right down to the deck. So right there you can see I'm just splitting the cant, boom, down the center, get her done, get her off the deck, and then roll that next log up. And one of the things about working like this is that you want the next log ready to go as soon as the lumber comes off the deck. So you're going to see here, they're going to pull these boards out of the way. Now for the last board, in case you're wondering if you haven't run a mill like this, I actually have to draw the head back to get it to the ground bar so that I can operate the hydraulics. Once I can operate the hydraulics, I can release the clamp. They can pull that board out. I raise my side supports, make sure my swing out bunks are out of the way. They drop the log onto the forks. I lift the log, get it up on the deck, run the log clamp in behind it so it can't roll backwards, get it up against the side supports, drop the loader forks, roll the log around to get it into position so that I can see where the stress is. And of course, in a log like this one, I didn't do that. Log straight. If the log's straight, I'm not worried about it. But then, of course, I got to look and see, do I need to raise one end or the other end to center the pith? So in this case, I raised the far end toe board. I took my measurements, made sure the pith was centered, and then boom, away we go. Take the cap cut off, and we're into the next log. Roll her up into the side supports, and this is one of the reasons I've talked a lot about not flipping a log 180 degrees. It isn't that I won't do it, and you're going to see in some upcoming videos that I actually do flip sometimes 180 degrees. But there are very specific reasons for that. In this particular case, I'm milling for production, and I'm not going to mess around flipping a log 180 degrees. I'm going to take the top off, get it flat, roll it 90 degrees into the side supports, take the top off, get it flat, roll it again, and away you go. And it's all about production. You want to be able to produce at a high rate. So you've got to try to limit movement that you make that isn't necessary, and I call that economy of movement. I just can't mess around with things when I'm trying to produce at a high rate for a customer, right? Customer doesn't want you sitting there wasting time fiddle farting around with a log unless you have to, right? They understand sometimes things don't go right, but otherwise, to really be a successful production sawyer, your customers have to know that you're not messing around, that you're there to get the job done and get off the job. That's how you get repeat customers. I have customers I've gone back to 7, 8, 10, 12 times. And I believe that the reason for that is, one, I produce a good quality product, but two, they know I'm not going to mess around. I'm here to get the job done. I'm here to get as much lumber as I can produced in the least amount of time and the best quality that I can produce. So away we go. Knock her down, right? Get it down to a nice square cant. And you'll notice I drop my side supports down as far as I can. That's because either I'm going to mill right to the deck or I'm going to split the cant. Now in this particular case, not going to do that. It's not big enough. So we're just going to go ahead and start milling it down. Now, you know, a lot of guys say you don't need to leave your side supports up. Well, I will tell you, there's a reason why I leave mine up at least partially when I'm milling down a cant. And that is because I have actually had a cant twist on me. So you're rocking and rolling. You're running into the cant at milling speed, right? Most of the time, unless I'm milling really wide stuff. If I'm milling 6-inch wide lumber or something like that, there's no reason for me to slow down. I can go straight into the cant at milling speed. So what you see in my videos is that I don't even shut the saw down. I run out the other end, the off bearer pulls the lumber out of my way, I draw the head back, hit my simple set, and then hit the forward switch. Sometimes I'm even hitting the forward switch before the simple set has finished adjusting the saw height. And that's because I know the amount of time it's going to take me to go from the point that I hit that simple set and the point that I enter the log. So as I'm drawing back, as soon as I'm cleared the cant, I hit the down switch, and then as soon as I'm far enough away that I know I can hit the forward switch and the simple set will make that final adjustment before I enter the log, I'm fine. And so, you know, a lot of times you see me come back and I'm hitting the simple set and dropping the head down so that I can enter the log as quickly as I can. I don't want to mess around. The only time you see me drawing the head back further is because I have to draw it back for the hydraulics to work. And on this job, I had started having some trouble with my hydraulics. Whenever I would draw the head back and get it to the ground bar that I need to be on in order for the hydraulics to work, well, guess what? Hydraulics wouldn't always work. And so sometimes you'll notice I'm actually almost all the way back. That's because the hydraulics were acting up a little bit on me. And I knew that if I drew far enough back, it would make good contact and I'd be fine. So I had to clean that out, take care of it later, and I've got some more work to do on my hydraulics, but that's one of the reasons why you see me draw all the way back like that. So away we go. We get the flitch cuts out of the way, and again, when I make my flitch cuts, I know where the simple set was. And typically, on a job like this, I was at 4 7/8 because I'm milling on the evens. That means I set the simple set to an even number, as in 1 inch. And then I set my cant height so that as soon as I start going onto the simple set, my last cut is going to leave me at 7/8 of an inch. So at 4 7/8, I cut my flitches, then I come back, set it to 4 7/8, and down we go, and I'm back on simple set again until the log's off the deck. Then we load the next log up, get it up on the deck, get it positioned, check your pith, get it centered. It's repeat. What do they say? Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. That's what you're doing. So some guys think, you know, I'm going to get a sawmill. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this. Great. It's awesome. I love doing it. But you need to be a little competitive with yourself. Ask yourself, am I doing everything necessary to produce quality lumber at an efficient, high production rate? And that is why you see me do a lot of the things that I do when I'm milling, and I try to show you these in these videos, right? If I'm only rolling a log 90 degrees and not 180, I got to tell you, there's a reason for that. And it has everything to do with the amount of time it takes to get the log off the deck. That is the challenge. The challenge is get the log on the deck, get it milled into the cant size that you need in order to make the lumber for the customer that they want, and then get that cant milled down off the deck and get the next log up on the deck Wash, rinse, repeat. Over and over and over and over again. And you can do 24 logs in a day. I did a video earlier in the year where I did 26 logs in one day, and it was one log after another. Bang, 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 bang. Now, you can even see in this video here, my sawdust chute wasn't working anymore. It was plugged up, and so I had sawdust just shooting straight down and all over the place. You know what? A lot of guys would say, oh, better stop and fix that. And I will at some point. But when I'm rocking and rolling, I'm knocking this log down. I'm going to get it down. I'm not even really paying attention to what's coming out of the sawdust chute all the time. You know, a lot of times I'm just trying to get her done. So there you have it, folks. My take on production milling and the challenge that it poses between really economy of movement, keeping the movement down, and getting the log on the deck and off the deck as quickly as you can while producing a good quality product. And for me, it's kind of fun. I like the challenge of trying to produce as much as I can, but at the same time, not making mistakes. You know, when we all make mistakes, it happens. But I think as long as we learn by them, that's really the key. And it's the same for production milling. You know, if you want to be a production sawyer, you want to get out and produce a lot of lumber, whether it's for a customer on their job site or even whether it's just for yourself in your nice, comfy sawmill shed on your own property. I think the key to being a good production sawyer is always looking for ways to improve. So with that thought, let me toss this out here. If you see me doing something that you think I can do better, don't be afraid to tell me, because I'm always looking for new ways to improve, ways to do the job better, ways to get better production out of my sawmill. And, you know, I'm always open for suggestions, and don't be afraid to drop your comments down. Let me know what you think of today's video, and stick around. I got more coming. Lots of great stuff coming up. I got a big log coming up here real soon on this job site, and more to come after that. Lots of fun. Really enjoy it. So thanks for watching, folks. I really appreciate your being here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and hey, share this video around. You know, if you want to help me out, if you're on Reddit or one of those other programs, even Facebook, wherever you might be, hit that share button and send this video out for others to watch, because maybe they'll enjoy it too. Thanks again for watching. Y'all have a great weekend. The old Jarhead out.